what I've seen in my own experience and having seen other leaders who have really performed effectively is that by tapping into the energy of the people, their psychic, for them to feel as a part of the vision, as part of the organization, you achieve much, much more. The experience that people go through, that remains with them, that over time they actually want to repeat it again, to relive it, so to speak. People want to feel value. What people are looking for is a sense of affiliation, a sense of belonging. Managing people is like almost a dance. You're dancing with them, you're moving them. So we feed off of each other, and then we are all progressing that way.
Happy birthday to you.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to the No Have Cakes podcast. My name is Jim Sabellico, and I'm honored to have you here with me today. This show is going to be a good one because we got a great guest on today. But before we get into that, I just want to talk to you a little bit about leadership. Leadership is an important topic that I feel like we don't spend enough time thinking about because we tend to think leadership is something that either you were given, someone says, hey, you are the leader of the company, or maybe you don't even think about the fact that you are the leader of your family. Maybe you could be a leader in your community. Leadership is a thing that all of us have the opportunity to lead, even if we're only leading ourselves. But to be able to be an effective leader, right, requires some skills, requires a little bit of background, some research, requires some things inside of you that when you understand properly how to be an effective leader, the results of that help you level up in every area of your life, right? It's not just your finances, it's not just your professional career, but it has to do with your self-image, your confidence. It has to do with even your spirituality. All of these things are tied together. And so when I saw our guest coming on here, being the experienced leader that he is, and I'll let him give you some of the history that he has, because the list is longer than I can even read. I knew we had to have this conversation because leadership is a topic that I am super passionate about. But before I ramble any further, I'd like to introduce our guest, Mr. Mosongo Moukwa. Hello, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. Thank you for having me on your show.
My pleasure. It truly is an honor. I'm honored that you are here with us today, and I'm looking forward to talking a little bit about leadership. So if you could give me a little bit of background on how you got even into the topic of leadership and how it became a thing for you.
Yeah, Jim, actually, I got into management by accident. When I finished some research work at Northwestern University, so my first job, they hired me to be a principal scientist. So as soon as I got into the job, the VP of the group called me and said that we would like to make you a manager. So my reaction was like, wow, I was dreaming of having patents, developing products. I've never managed anybody and so on. He said, don't worry, you'll do. So that's how I got into the leadership. So I did not really have any mentor. I did not have any training like they have today and so on. So that's how really I got into the leadership. So obviously some people came along the way helping me. I have to learn on my own, trial and tribulation and so on. And then eventually 1 year passed, 2 years, 3 years, and I never regretted being put in that position.
Well, I love that. So you talk about being a leader of significance, right? And that is, you've actually written that book, right?
Yes.
So what does that mean to be a leader of significance? Significant in what? In what way?
Yeah. Leadership of significance is really you're leading by touching the hearts and mind. So if you look at leadership could be transactional. Early in my career, I was working for a COO, Chief Operating Officer. So when I went to him and asked him, I said, to let me know what his expectations were. I described to him what I was doing with my department. And then his response was, hey, Mosongo, for me, the rule is very simple. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. So that's really perhaps an extreme case of a transactional leadership, which unfortunately sometimes you hear that in a number of companies. But what I'm advocating is that, no, let's have a leadership that is really touching the hearts and mind of the individual, engaging them, because that's really how you can really get the creative juice or the engine of creativity, as I like to say. That's what leadership of significance is all about. What people are looking for is a sense of belonging. I remember early in my career, I was by the coffee shop. I spoke with one of the chemists there. I asked him, I said, what is it here that really you enjoy in this place? Oh, why are you coming here? And I thought he was going to tell me, oh, you're giving us great projects. We are developing those products. We have an opportunity to work with marketing and so on. No, what he told me said that what I like here is that during lunchtime, I can play ping pong. I can play ping pong with Mike, and we get to talk and so on. So what down on me is that what people are looking for is a sense of affiliation, a sense of belonging. So that's number one, what people are looking for. The second one, what people are looking for is what I will call, and scientists are calling, psychological safety. Years ago, there was one young lady who was in marketing. While she was hired there, her boss was all excited. She was invited meetings, lots of commendation and so on. But then over time, she was no longer invited in meetings. And a rumor started circulating that she was not performing at par and so on, and her performance was not great and so on. So eventually, she got transferred into my department. And then as I was having a conversation with her, I told her, I said, why did you not go to him and then ask him, why is it that am I no longer invited in those meetings? And then what she told me is that, well, Mosongo, I did not feel safe even to ask that question. And she added, I felt invisible. So that psychological safety there is extremely important. That's what people are looking for. You need to give that space where people feel comfortable to speak, to talk about what's going on with them. So that's what it is. For example, today we have a lot of crises. A month ago there was a shooting there. So don't come there and talk about people about the Second Amendment. That's not what people are wanted to hear. People are worrying about whether their kids are safe. So leaders, they really need to be attuned to that. And then the third one is really people they want to feel value. Now, people can feel value in a different ways. They could feel value, obviously, by the assignment you're giving them and so on. But there are some simple gestures that you as a leader, you can take. Just to give an example, years ago, there was a manager he related the story to me. He said that as I was working in the corridor, I saw him and then I say, hey, Jim, I just be sure that I did not forget you. And then I went by. And I really meant it. I did not forget it. So, and then years later, it reminded me that that gesture really meant a lot for him, because that's what indicated to him is that he felt value, that he felt part of a bigger plan, something much bigger than him. So those are really the things that the people are really looking for in leadership.
Yeah, I love that. So what I'm really hearing you say is so much of being a leader is more about the people than maybe making the decisions in the company. It's focusing on making people feel loved, appreciated, seen, and heard, and showing up for the people, not necessarily transactional where, hey, if you do something good for me, then I'll do something good for you, but going out of your way first to make them feel part of the community, make them feel appreciated, part of the team. And then once everyone is together, once you've done the people part, then together you can go and accomplish the mission.
Yes, absolutely. People sometimes they think, if you focus on the people, you're not going to achieve your number. What I've seen in my own experience and having seen other leaders who have really performed effectively is that by tapping into the energy of the people, their psychic, for them to feel as a part of the vision, part of the organization, you achieve much, much more. You not only achieve the financial performance, but you can sustain it. The reason I'm saying that, Jim, is because when I meet people that I used to work with, that I manage, when we meet, we never talk about the new products that we have developed. We never talk about that we contributed to increase market share, or the price, the stock price increase when we were there. No, what people generally share are the experience they went through. They'll tell you that, oh man, when we're trying to get that particular account, Mike really came on board, even though he was a salesperson. That account was not assigned to him, but really lend his hand, some advice, and so on. That's the experience that people really are talking about. They are not so. That's what I'm saying is really the experience that people go through that remains with them. That over time they actually want to repeat it again, to relive it, so to speak.
Well, that brings up a good point. So, as a leader, right, you still have the obligation to take care of the company and do the mission and make the hard decisions. So, how do you balance the weight of that where you need to still pay attention to it, but you almost need to put it a little bit to the side to focus on the people first? But then you still got to come back to those decisions and doing the hard things. How do you juggle those two?
Yes. It's not either or. It's both. The reason I'm saying, of course, you as a senior leader in the organization, you are responsible to achieve the numbers. So those goals are stated, they are articulated, and they are there. Now you want the people to be part of that decision. So you have a goal. Don't just cram it through and say, I want you to do A, B, C, D. Have the people come along for them to suggest ideas. First of all, you have to motivate them, for them to suggest ideas, perhaps ways that they could achieve those goals. Sometimes they have better ways. Actually, most of the time, they have better ways of achieving those goals, even exceeding them, than you as a leader. So that's what I'm saying. It's not either or. It's you have to do both. Now, while you're doing that, obviously, you set the expectation, but then you need to provide feedback. And then you need to provide feedback. At the beginning of my career, when I had my first job, I was not good at giving feedback, because those were colleagues of mine who were all working in the labs and so on. And over time, I began to realize that actually I was good at energizing the groups, but I was not good at feedback. I realized that actually by not giving them the feedback, it was actually deteriorating their performance, because people in reality, they're looking for feedback, and they want that feedback. So once I recognized that, then I began to give the feedback, and it has to be the appropriate feedback. Don't attack the person. Don't say that they are lazy and so on. Attack the behavior. This is what you have done, and that particular behavior, this is how it's affecting us as an organization, and this is how it's affecting the performance of your team. If you take it that way, then you have a much, much greater chance to really motivate the people. But the vision or the goals, it has to be shared. And once people have a feeling it's shared, then they can even produce much more.
So let me ask you about this then. Do you think it's translatable into not just a corporate environment, but also a family environment where you are leading the household, leading the family? Do you think that this same sort of putting your other people first, right, taking care of your wife and your kids as a top priority, making them feel loved, appreciated, seen, and heard, will help you move together forward as a family, rather than just saying, hey, this is the rule, and that's what we're going to do because I said so?
Yes, this is actually a great question. I think some of those thoughts can also be brought back to a family setting. So I look at it in terms of you have requests, but you also have some expectations. Let me give you an example. For example, in my work, I'm extremely busy. So during the week, I'm extremely busy. So I tell my wife, hey, listen, during the week, between this time and this time, I have all those people I need to call. I'm extremely busy and so on. So try to organize your activity there. But in return, I'm promising you that at the 6 o'clock, I'm dropping everything, and my focus is only on the family. The weekend, I'm mostly just working with the family. So one can find that balance, but it has to be conscientious. So that's number one. Then number two, if you have a project within the family, involve the rest of the family, involve your wife. If you have some children who can have some input, involve them. You want to make a trip, involve them. Hey guys, which place would you guys would like to go? I'm thinking of A, B, C, D, and so on. Oh no, that place I read it sucks, man. I won't go to enjoy it. Then you go through a coaching mode. Then you say, well, tell me more. Then you may want to learn their concern. Maybe their concern is not what you actually thought. Maybe they have a different concern while you're just going through that coaching mode and so on. Then you begin to uncover something. So at the end, now that you are ready to go on that family trip, everybody excited. People have their own imagination. They can go there. Everybody will have fun. And then you come home happy and so on. So that style of leadership also works within the family setting.
That's great. That actually brings me up a great question, is that one of the things I find a lot of leaders struggle with, or a lot of people who are higher up in their professional career, is turning off that sort of drive and intensity when they get to their family, right? So during the work day, right, a lot of times you have to make these quick decisions. You have to just jump right into action and get things moving.
Yes.
And a lot of times when you come home, you're very short with your wife or your kids because you want them to just give you information and you want to make a decision, you want to keep moving. And people don't want to slow down and give them the time or really just be in the moment with them. And it's a problem. I see a lot of people that are skipping over large periods of their life where they don't want to maybe let their kids help them with a project because it's going to slow them down too much. But that's literally just what they need, is to be present and to slow down and actually enjoy that time that they've been waiting for. Right? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And when I looked at my own career, so I was really in the beginning working very hard and so on. And then when I begin to realize that actually it was I was putting my family behind, that was a revelation for me in terms of, hey, it shouldn't be this way. So then what I decided to do over 30 years ago is that after work, when I come home, before I deal with the family and so on, I come home and whatnot, then I go for a walk. That's a way for me to decompress. Then when I come home, I'm much calmer and so on. And in fact, when I used to go for a walk, my children at that time, they were smaller, I would tell them, let's go, guys, take your bicycle. So as I'm walking, they are riding a bicycle. So we go and so on. Then when we come home, sometime while we're riding bicycle, I'm talking to them, hey, you see this and so on. So when we come home, all of us were relaxed. Yeah, we can have dinner, they can do their homework and so on. So that tension is gone. But the other one that I've learned also from a coach many years ago, he said that when we go from one activity to another, so just think when you were in class, when we're in college, you come from the chemistry class or whatnot, and now you go to the literature class, and you're sitting there the first maybe 20 minutes or so, that previous class is still playing in your head. So you are not really present. So the way to be present is that you really have to declare. You have to declare that the previous activity is completed, and now I'm present. I'm going to focus on this activity. The previous activity could have been completed. Those actions, I will take them tomorrow. I cannot deal with them right now. Or this email, I'll send it tomorrow. Or this one is not urgent. So I'm declaring that one is completed. Now I'm present and I'm focusing on the next activity. Then you're really present and you can really focus. And if one develops that type of habit, I know for a fact it works. It has been documented scientifically, and I've seen it in my own behavior. That helps me that way to transition from one activity to another and so on. And you can also apply it in a family setting. When a children comes to a problem, just pause a moment, take a deep breath, and try to declare that whatever was going in your mind, you're going to leave it on the side, put it aside. Now you're going to be present and focus. You have to say it. Declare it, and then you see that in that case you're more in tune. You can listen much better to any of your children.
Yeah, I love that. So it makes me wonder, how important do you think it is for positive self-talk and self-leadership to be an effective leader of others?
That is a great question. It's true that one can take classes, training, and so on. But really, it comes down to you trying to uncover your own purpose. You need to ask that question really: what am I trying to achieve here? But that is a journey of discovery. So you need to ask those questions, and that could be revealed to you by looking at, for example, some of the books that you have read over the years that really had an impact on you. For example, for me, there are two books that always stayed in my mind. When I was in high school, we studied one book there in French literature there, Le Petit Prince, that the Little French, which we studied. So just reading that book those days when I was younger, it made me dream. It made me want to discover things. I was already curious by nature, but it's like somehow it just enhanced me. So I dreamt of traveling around the world, which eventually I did. So those are the things there. And then the other one was a book. Actually, it was a play, Rhinoceros by Eugene Ionescu. And so that one was an interesting one because it was really a story where town people transformed themselves into rhinoceroses, symbolizing the rise of authoritarian, the peril of groupthink, and so on. And the protagonist in that story, I still remember his name, Béranger. He refused to conform. He refused to conform, and he remained a human while everybody else became rhinoceros. So he stood as a beacon of individuality amidst that chaos. So to rediscover your purpose, you have to go back a little bit in time and trying to see that what are some of those things that mark you. What are some of the values that now you can extract from your own life and so on. That really will help you there. And then the other training and classes and so on, they're just there to augment. But really, the inner self, you need to rediscover that.
Yeah, I love that. And I agree completely. I think one of the other things that I see a lot of leaders struggle with is understanding that they don't have all the answers. And when I say that, I mean, a lot of times when I'll interact with someone who is leading a team, they talk all the time about, oh, this person needs to improve in this skill, or this person needs to go to that training. But they never stop for a second and think, hey, maybe I, as a leader, also have room to grow, right? They get stuck in this mindset when they get to be the leader. That's it. They have all the answers because there's no one generally above them telling them, hey, you are deficient in this area. Here's an area you can grow. Here's some training that you can do. So what do you think a great way for someone who is a leader to stay accountable and help to find those areas that they can grow in? How would someone sort of do that?
Yeah, I mean, certainly, to be a leader, you also have to be open to feedback. So that feedback could come from your own managers. If you have created that psychological space, some of them may volunteer some feedback, but it could also come from your colleagues. I remember somewhere in my career, we had this senior leader. What he was doing is that for the Friday meeting, as we're meeting as a team, rather than talking about each other's project and so on, we're talking about what was happening with us, what was happening with our people. And then we were giving feedback to others. And the one can say, oh man, Mosongo, you know that Jim is not really performing well, man. You need to do something, So this was just our own safe space where we will give some feedback to each other. So that was something that was very good. The other thing that was very good that I thought this particular person did for us as a team is that during those Friday meetings, he will assign either books or some article, nothing to do with the company. We read book on how to build communities. We read novels. I remember we read one book there, The Black Boy. So we read all sorts of books there, and then we'll come and discuss them. So that really helped us somewhat enhance our own horizon. So that's certainly one thing there. Now, for you as a leader, for you to be a good coach, you also have to be coachable. So that means you have to be also open and receptive to other people's advice, suggestion. You have to accept to also being challenged by others. So that was a great question. Yeah.
Thank you. So what I'm hearing you say there is one of the most important characteristics of a good leader is someone who is unoffendable, someone who invites feedback and criticism, someone who doesn't let ego and pride drive them in their decision making. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Managing people is like almost a dance, you know. You're dancing with them, you're moving them, or if you take the metaphor of orchestra, you know, you're building here. One creates one note, another one create another note, another one create another note. So we feed off of each other, and then we are all progressing that way. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So then for you, we've spoken a lot about characteristics of a good leader. What do you think some of the other things that maybe we haven't mentioned yet are something that makes someone a great leader? And that could be in their company, in their community, in their household. What do you think the most important characteristics of a leader are?
Well, I think they need to display a persistent curiosity about others. When I say persistent, don't just come and talk to Joe. Hey, Joe, how you doing? Be curious. Be curious about Joe. Not just once, but twice. Carry that conversation. Because if you cannot talk about little things, then you are never going to talk about bigger things. So that persistent curiosity is an extreme important one. And then I would also saying that the ability to continue to learn and to learn in your own field and to learn in other fields. Read in the area of leadership, read in the area of psychology, read in the area of behavioral science. Then that really will help you. And some of those things that you absorb, trying to see if it makes sense for you to either to use or to share with the people that are working under your care. So these are the two characteristics that straight away come to mind. And then the other one is that you need to learn to hear other people's stories, because stories actually reveal their soul. So one exercise I learned as I was doing my MBA at Case Western with Professor Cooper Ryder in appreciative inquiry was that one exercise from that class. I did this exercise where I had employees to pair in groups, two. One will interview the other. And the question was that as you interviewing the other, ask the other person what was those instances where they really felt alive within the context of the company. And then now you begin to rediscover the story. If you ask them what are those things they felt alive, just in general personal life, they will tell you their story. Then now the interviewer now has to be the one to relate the story of the interviewee to the rest of the group. And that was an exercise that was extremely powerful, because we learned so much about those individuals. We're able to see the connection. We're able to see why they behave in certain way in some context, and so on. So that ability to learn to hear other people's stories, and when the opportunity comes, also to be able to tell our own stories. So this is another part that I think would certainly help to enhance one's leadership.
Yeah, I love that. And I think one of the things that makes me think of right away is a leader's ability to not let their own idea or their own concept of what that other person might what their answer might be get in the way of hearing the actual answer. Because when you're talking about that, I think a lot of times, especially when you're someone who is so busy all the time, you're trying to get ahead a little bit faster. And so a lot of times when you ask someone a question, you're already thinking in your head what their answer is going to be, so you can think how to respond, so you can get to the next thing. So I love that you said that, where it makes you really stop and sort of wipe that clean to just listen to what the answer is and be continually curious about learning about other people and what the answer might be, not just in your head. And even if you're close, you're still going to give yourself sort of this preconceived notion, and you're going to have a different understanding of what the actual answer is, because you're not really listening. You're you're listening for keywords. You're listening to justify yourself, right? Rather than how can you serve that other person.
Yes, absolutely. And there are many junctions actually during the day where we can have that good interaction. At the coffee machine, it could be during a one-on-one conversation, and it could be in meetings and so on. Those are some of the things that if the company has a function that gives an opportunity for you not to talk about the project, but to ask the people, simple things. Hey, how is your wife? You trying next time when you see them, remembering, hey, oh, how is Chris, your son? How did the surgery go? All those things there gives us an opportunity there to really understand the other people. But obviously, you need to keep people accountable. They need to deliver. But by creating that emotional connection, they are more willing to even give you more in terms of delivering than you perhaps thought. Huh?
So let me ask you this question, which I think is a really important one, maybe the most important one yet, is that as a leader, if you're going to spend most of your time serving the other people around you and caring about the other people around you and looking out for their best interest, how do you as a leader make sure that you are receiving that and filling up your own cup as well? Because I've seen in a lot of scenarios that leader who spends, 70% of their day caring for other people then can become very bitter because they feel like I'm giving all this energy to other people, but no one cares about me.
Because you're also an individual, huh? So as much as you are caring for other people, you also have to care yourself. So which means that consciously you need to, apart from your job, you need to find other activities that may not be business related that you can do, like reading in some areas. If you feel those areas they bring a lot of energy for you, hey, go for it. Because you also have to ask yourself, what are those things that really, brings me alive here? Those are the things that you need to gravitate with. It's like a fountain, so to speak. That's where you have to go and refuel your energy. What are those, then when you're thinking about those things, you say, oh no, man, each time I read in that area, it really brings me a great deal of energy. Or when I take a break and I do these types of activity, it brings me lots of energy. So, but you need to pause, taking care of the people, but also taking care of yourself, so avoid burnout because you're so busy there and whatnot. Go to the gym or just pause for a moment. One day you can take a morning off and stay home, go for a walk or whatnot. Go to theater. So all those are things that could bring energy. Most big companies actually, because we have that flex time, allow people to get that break. People don't always look at it that way, but I always find that, hey, if there is a nice concert there and you need to leave at 4, okay, hey boss, today I'll leave at 4. Okay, fine. Usually people say that's okay because they know you're doing the work. So that allow you then to also to fill your own time, so to speak. Huh? But that is absolutely important. As much as you take care of others, don't burn yourself. Also take care of yourself. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that is something I really just want to emphasize because so many people look at this, especially when you get to the leadership level. You think it's your responsibility to be the hardest worker in the room, and you want to be the first one at the office and the last one to leave. And a lot of times, and I was in this way as well. I used to leave a house at 3 o'clock in the morning, get home at 9 o'clock at night. And I thought, hey, that's the responsibility of the leader. But ultimately, I was failing, setting a good example of what it actually meant to lead in my house, in my business. And sort of then I realized it can't just be all hustle, right? It can't just be this thing where you're working all the time and you don't take care of yourself first. I think that's the thing that's really hard for people to understand is being able to take care of yourself first, right? To then be able to care for other people. We tend to do it the other way around, where we just pour out first. We take care of everything else, all the problems, everyone else's problems, and then we give whatever's left to ourselves.
Yes. Yeah. No, this is a great point. This is really a great point. Yes.
Good. I love that. So I'd love to ask you, we talked about reading a little bit before. Are there some recommendations that you would have specifically for someone who is looking to be self-led, someone who is starting out on this journey of figuring out, I may not want to lead a company of 500 employees, but I want to be a better leader of myself. Right? Is there something that you've read that might be a great recommendation?
Yes, Jim. Yeah, there is one book by David Brooks, which is called The Second Mountain. This is a book that I read, I think, last year or 2 years ago. Last year, this is a book I would recommend. I mean, the book really explored the concept of a meaningful and purposeful life. It argues that many of us, we are stuck on that first mountain, which is the personal success, individual, and so on. And then it says that actually there is a deep and more fulfilling path, which is represented by the second mountain, which involves connecting with others and so on. So this is a book I certainly would recommend. And I think there are lots of examples in there, and David Brooks has done really a good job. They were saying that, hey, you have climbed this first mountain, you have achieved this personal success and so on, but then it's not all. Actually, there is a second mountain you need to climb, which will give you a much deeper meaning and purpose. So that's a book I would recommend. That's what comes.
I appreciate that recommendation. I'll definitely check that out. Now, you've written 2 books yourself, right?
Yes. I've written the Be a Leader of Significance, and then I've written also another book here, The Revenue Revolution. So Be a Leader of Significance is on Amazon. The other book is really, I use it for my coaching business. I coach small business owners to improve their revenue, finding uncover opportunity. The idea is that I would like to help them free up their time, because what a small business owner they struggle with is time and financial freedom. But many have not achieved that. So in my book, I'm giving some strategies there that could help them, which is actually something I'm using in my coaching for small business owners. So that one is there as well. And then I'm working on another book currently, which I hope I'll complete by the end of next year.
Well, that's awesome. Do you mind sharing a little bit about what that book is about?
That one will be more in terms of the psychological challenges that small business owners are going through. So that's really what it is. What are some of their struggle? Because those challenges are multiple. Feel isolated, anxiety, and so on. So that's what I'm talking there. And then when you come to them, you say, well, there is an opportunity for you to grow. They say, well, I don't want to grow because I don't want to lose control. If I grow, then I will not be able to be hands-on in this business. So there are many of those. I'm collecting stories and then trying to put that in that book. Yes.
Yeah, I love that topic, and it makes me feel like I should ask how much of the growth issues or problems that you come across are fear-based. People that are afraid to grow, or they're afraid to get out of the thing that they know, their comfort zone.
Yes, very much so, very much. In fact, that is one chapter in the book that I'm currently exploring. Actually, yes. And then that book, by the way, the Revenue Revolution, it's free to download on my website. People can go on my website and the resources, and they can download the copy there. So
good. I'll definitely make sure we include a link in this episode for that, so people can grab that. Because if it's anything like this conversation, I'm sure it's well worth it.
Yeah, my website, the one mosongomukwa.coach. That's where they could download.
So a couple extra questions, if you could, before we wrap up here, is if you had one bit of advice to give to someone so that they can have a slightly better day today, like one really simple bit of advice they could put in place today, what would that be?
Well, I would say that the next person that you meet, don't just say, hey, how you doing? But instead, have a conversation with them. Talk about anything. You can talk about baseball game. You can talk about other thing. And through that conversation, try to get to know them, at least for that small instance there. That's the advice I'll give people today. You'll feel good after having that short conversation as well. And the individual will live with a very good feeling as well.
Yeah, I love that advice. And just to layer onto that, if you're struggling to think about what to ask that person, maybe start with a compliment.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely,
It's a really easy way to open up that conversation and start from there.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, yesterday I met one lady. I told her, I said, "Oh, I really love your bag, eh? Your handbag. You know, do they have it in different colors?" Oh, she said, "Oh no, they have it in brown." And so I said, "Oh man, my wife would love to have a hand on her hand on one of those bags." And she laughed, and then we continue having a good conversation. So there are there are many. You know, the more you practice it, the more it just comes natural.
Yeah, it's actually a great exercise. Sometimes even just a personal challenge if you want to get yourself out of your comfort zone to say, I'm going to go to the grocery store and I can't leave until I talk to 3 people. So my last question for you, if you could, I normally ask people this, and it's a bit of a weird question sometimes, but what is your favorite flavor of cake?
My flavor of cake, I love cheesecake. I think that is something I love. My wife used to bake cheesecake regularly for many years. She hasn't done that maybe for 15 years. So I love cheesecake. Good cheesecake. Yeah, I love.
Good. Well, Mosongo, this has been an absolute pleasure, and I hope to share a piece of cheesecake with you at some point in the near future, sir. It's been a true honor. So I just want to thank you for being here with us today. This has been a lot of info, and I really appreciated it.
Jim, listen, thank you so much. Thank you very much here to give me this opportunity. I hope your listeners out there got some value. Certainly, I enjoyed the conversation. I hope they also enjoyed what you and I were discussing here. Thank you so much.
Very much. Thank you. And we'll definitely include all your links and everything in the show notes so people can follow you. And we'll look out for that third book. I'm excited for it.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Jim.
Very good. Thank you, sir.